So today we're installing the Mishimoto primary and secondary radiators for a 2012 Ford 6.7 diesel. The 6.7 diesel has actually has two radiators in it, and it is very important to do everything that you can to increase the efficiency of the radiators in this truck, because not only is it cooling the engine, the radiators are cooling the engine, they are also cooling the water that goes to the air-to-water intercooler, which is one of the first light-duty trucks on the road to use an air-to-water intercooler. The Mishimoto units are very nice units. Again, as with all Mishimoto products, backed with a lifetime warranty. These are all aluminum. These are all aluminum pieces. No cheap plastic end caps with these. It comes with all the hardware that will need to be changed, or that Mishimoto feels that needs to be changed on the installation, and we'll show you that as we go along. With the secondary radiator, you are going to get new thermostat housings that come with it. The primary radiator is a large unit and very good. It comes with new push pins to cover up the to replace the tree pins that are going to be used that'll probably break coming out. So Mishimoto covers you by sending those. These are two really nice units. If you've got a 6.7 Ford, you're wanting to increase the efficiency a little bit of it, this is my suggestion for you. Another nice feature on this, on the primary radiator, you actually get a drain plug, so you don't have to unhook the hoses to let the primary radiator drain, which you will see in this video. Before we start this, I want to let you know, if you're doing this job in your driveway by yourself, you're probably going to want to have one of your buddies come and help you to get the radiators out of the truck. Again, you can see they're pretty good sized units. Trying to get them out of the small space that we're going to be working in can prove to be difficult, so have a buddy on hand to help you with this. So let's get started with the installation. To begin our installation of our Mishimoto radiators, we are going to have to take the grill out of the truck. So first step into that is to remove the push clip that is right here in the corner of the radiator that holds the first rubber cover that goes down along the radiator guard. So we just remove that push pin, and then along the top of the grill, there are 4 10 metric bolts that we're going to remove. Once these bolts are removed, this will give us access to the push clips at the bottom of the grill, and I'll show you how to remove that. So we've got the 4 bolts that come out there. All right, now that lets the grill itself move. Down in the bottom of the grill, there are horseshoe slots. There's 4 of them, and those are going to be the releases. I use a long 3/8 drive extension, and that fits in there perfectly. You can push on the clips until they pop. Like that. So I believe that is going to have us where we can take the grill out. There we are. Well, I've still got one on this side. There it is. Okay. Then that will allow the grill to come out, and you can see just about in line with each one of the 10 metric bolts that you took out is where the clips will be, plus 1 in the center. So there's actually going to be 5 clips that hold the grill assembly itself to the truck. Now we're going to remove the headlights from the truck. The headlights are held on by 4 10 metric bolts. There's 1 in the very top. There are 2 on the sides, and there's 1 on the very bottom here. So we're going to remove the top 3 first. And then, before going after the bottom one, you'll have to switch over to 1/4-inch drive. I use a 1/4-inch drive with a long extension like this. I come in from the inboard side and out to the outboard side, and then you'll see the 10 metric bolt that's there. And keep my hand on it as best I can. All right. Then to dislodge the light, you simply pull forward on it. Now these are a set of aftermarket lights, so they're going to be a little bit different than what you've got, but at this point you simply disconnect the wires, take the headlights out and get them out of your way. Then do the exact same thing with the other side, and that gives you access to more of the radiator bolts. Next, we're going to be taking out it's the grill support bar. This plastic piece is just a plastic U that runs along here and over. So there are two 13 metric bolts and then one 10 metric bolt that is down behind your bumper that is right here. A little bit harder to get to, but 3 fasteners on each side. So we'll go ahead and remove those and then show you how to get the support bar out. To get the little hidden 10, I just use you can use a short extension and a deep socket, or a short socket and a long extension, however you want to do it, just to get in there. To remove the grill support, once you have all of your bolts out, the two 13 metrics and the 10 metric down below the bumper here, you'll want to go ahead and pop this push pin out. You can see that ours is tore here, so we don't have to worry about that with this now. And I'll let Adam slide around here and show you how the support bar is. There's 2 plastic tabs that are actually hold it against the thing. So I just get my fingers behind them and pull it out, and there it's loose. Going to the other side, there's a coolant line that runs through here. I just push it out of the support bar, and then I pop the support bar off the other side, and then the bar just lifts right straight out. Now we're going to remove the upper radiator support bar. Upper radiator support, I'm going to give you an overview of what's here. On either end of the upper radiator support bar, there are 2 13 metric bolts. The radiator has a support. There are 2 10 metric bolts that hold it in with a half circle bracket, and I'll show you those as we get to them. Then we will drop the transmission cooler out, 2 10 metric bolts on it to drop it out of the way. Electrical, we have the horn we will disconnect and leave the horn assembly on the upper radiator support, and then we will disconnect the switch for the hood open light. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. The push pin, there's a push pin on the back of it. You'll just want to pop that push pin out like so, and then disconnect the switch itself. All right, and I'm just going to go ahead and do my horns while I'm thinking about doing electronics. Get those and get that out of the way. All right, now while I'm here, I'll swing the trans cooler out of the way. So 2 10 metric bolts here. Okay, and once that is done, we can just swing that down here out of our way, or we'll be able to get the crossbar out any way it goes. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do the cable here. To get this little compartment open, I use what's an O-ring tool that I've got here, and in the middle of that is the plastic catch there that you have to get the little case to open here, and I just keep moving it back and forth until I get enough of it disengaged that one side will pop up, and then the same with the other side. You got to hold your mouth just right to get it, but you will get it. I try to move back and forth in that slot to where it clears everything. So once it opens up there, then you just get the other end of the cable, just pull it straight up, and then there is another clip here. I'll move it out of the way, and that's got just all of our wiring and everything ready to come out. Now we will start working on the hardware. I'll get my two 13 metrics on either side out. There are a couple of washers on there as well. Be aware of that, like a body washer that's on it. All right, now we're ready to go after the 10 metrics. Adam, if you want to come over here and we'll kind of show those 10 metrics. There's one on the top here, and there's one on the very bottom here. Again, it's a half circle bracket, so I'll get this one out. That way you can see it and see what you're up against there. Okay, I wanted to show you this half circle bracket coming out of here. So the bottom 10 metric bolt, I've got it loosened up. I'm just gonna pull it out here. And then the bracket will come as well. So we'll get that one off of the other side, and then we're ready to bring the cross member out. So this is one of the times when you want one of your buddies that might be hanging around the house drinking all your cold beer to help you. So the upper radiator support, what happens with this is once all of your hardware is out, there are two pins on either side of this that are actually still going to be engaged in here, not fastened, just engaged, and then it's still going to be touching the rubber bushing on the primary radiator. So what you've got to do with the upper radiator support is you've got to go straight up with it and then grab it and roll it out from the bottom. So we'll kind of show you. Corey and I are going to do it, but Corey wasn't drinking my beer today. I'll let you get your side first. Roll it out. There you go. Then there's your upper radiator support bar. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and drain the secondary radiator first. The petcock on that is over here on the passenger side of the truck. You're just gonna wanna work it back and forth. Don't get too anxious with this. What I like to do is start it out there, and then just kind of pull back with it as I go, as I'm turning, and then you'll get a little flow. So we're gonna let that drain first. All right, we're gonna go ahead and drain the secondary radiator. The petcock for the secondary radiator is on the passenger side of the truck. And what I like to do with this is, as I'm opening it, is I like to, now take in consideration that these are gonna have a little bit of buildup and just normal gunk here. I like to turn that as I'm pulling backwards on it as well. Also, I'll put a piece of tube on the petcock itself and let it drain into that. That way you don't have such a mess. So go ahead and open her up here. And like I said, I'm pulling back as I turn here till I get flow. And then once I get flow, and keep it from going all over the frame and floor. Now we're going to drain the primary radiator, which is the radiator closest to the motor. Now I was talking to you about the nice thing about the Mishimoto radiators that are going back into this and them having drain plugs on them. I like the drain plugs that the Mishimotos have a lot better than these plastic petcocks. Sometimes you can be doing something just as simple as draining your radiators for a flush or something of that nature and have these petcocks break on you, and there you are, you've got to tear the whole front end of the truck apart like we're doing right now. So we're gonna go ahead and drain the primary radiator. If you are only changing your secondary radiator, then you do not have to worry about this step. But since we are changing the primary and the secondary, we will be draining this as well. Again, you just want to twist and pull outwards here as you go to get it to where it'll drain. This one doesn't hit a frame mount like it does on the other side, so you don't really have to worry about using a line, but you can if you want to. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to start removing the secondary radiator right now. Our first steps are going to be getting our lines prepped to be able to move the transmission cooler in this crossover tube, and we're going to set those out of our way. We're also going to be unbolting the AC condenser and then getting all of the lines off the secondary intercooler or secondary radiator, getting ready to lift it out. So first we've got to do is we've got to get this rubber guard off of the driver's side. I'm just going to work on the driver's side here and go through everything that's on this side. So there's 3 push pins on this that you'll get. One in the middle that's usually really nice. And then there's one on the bottom. It's already gone on ours. So then we're going to move this over. This is going to give us access to this worm drive clamp here for the crossover pipe. We're going to go ahead and loosen that because we were going to want to disconnect it completely. We'll move that. Get our hose ready to. You want to have your bucket ready here too as well, so because there's going to be probably going to be a little bit of residual coolant. So we'll push this over so where it's not in our way. I'm just going to go ahead and keep working on the driver's side here real quick. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take the lower radiator hose off of the secondary radiator. Just unclamp it like so. Move it back and take our line off. There's going to be some coolant left in here, no matter how long you let it drain. All right, that's going to have our driver's side done. Move over to the passenger side. Now the passenger side is going to be a little bit different. Passenger side, we're going to be dealing with the spring clips that are going to be on the thermostat housings. So I'll show you how that goes. The clips on the thermostat housings, they have a plastic keeper on the back side of them. So what you're going to want to do is, what you're going to want to do is just go ahead and get them started like so, and then push them. And they only go so far to have them completely dislodged. A little bit harder to do the back side of this one. We can get it started up. Check my spots at them. Sorry. There we go. All right. Now, that's giving us that. So to separate that upper pipe, you just push the pipe backwards. Have a pan ready again. And then this will lift up off of the thermostat housing. Like so. Now, this entire pipe assembly with the transmission lines as well can just swing right out of your way, like so. Now, continuing on the passenger side, we're going to go ahead and remove the cover over here on this side. Push pins again on this. We just want that dislodged there. Now we're going to go ahead and take our upper radiator hose off here. I got it. Everything is fighting me today. You ever had one of those days? Next, we're going to take the lines off of the thermostat housing. And then this line as well, off of the front of it. Residual fuel, and I'll swing that one out of my way. I'm going to get the line off the back side too. Now, see, still quite a bit of coolant in there. So that's got all lines disconnected from the secondary radiator. Now, we want to get the AC condenser out of our way. AC condenser's got two 8 metric bolts, one here, one here. We will remove those. Those two bolts have got the AC condenser unhooked. We will now lift the condenser up, and we're just going to rest it right here on the thing. And it's got, and I'll see if Adam can get that. You can kind of see, I'm just going to shake the condenser. You can kind of see the little channel that it's hooked into there. So all it's got to do is just come straight up. Actually, you know what? Let's do this as well. I think this line will let it go where we need to go, because all we need to do is just move it forward. We'll clip that transmission line as well. So now that's going to give us just enough clearance that we don't have to evacuate the AC system, and that's going to give us enough clearance to be able to get the secondary radiator out. Now we're going to just unbolt the secondary radiator. So there's 4 8-metric bolts. We're not going to show you pulling all those out. There's one at the top of the secondary radiator and one at the bottom of the secondary radiator. Same thing on the passenger side. 2 bolts over there, so just pull all 4 bolts. We're gonna go ahead and pull the secondary radiator out. Again, good idea to have some help with this. This is a pretty good size radiator, and bringing it out as well. With the AC condenser in here, you just wanna have another set of eyes, another set of hands. So Dylan is gonna help me pull this out. So we're gonna go ahead and just pick it up, and we're gonna walk Dylan's way with it. Go ahead, Dylan. You're clear, right there. Let's go down just a fuzz, down a little more. Let me see, just a second here. Okay, now out. Your slide. We'll go ahead and reinstall the primary radiator now. First thing I want you to do is make sure that you take the clips, the rubber plugs out of the upper and lower radiator hose side. Check all of your brackets and make sure that they haven't been bent in shipping, and make sure that everything is going to be able to hook back up the way we've got it going. So I'm going to start putting this in. You've got your gasket, your seal there on the bottom. So we're going to put Dylan's side in, and his has got to go down. His end's got to go down first. That's good, Dylan. Watch your lines. What do you need from me? There you go, bud. All right. Sure you don't have any wires pinched, Dylan, or anything like that?
Everything's good.
Everything's good. All right. Sit it on its pedestal. You'll have to. All right, now you've got your primary intercooler in. It's set on both of its 2 locating dowels. We're gonna go ahead and pick the fan shroud up now and sit it back in its spot on the back of the primary radiator. And at this point, passenger side is in. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and bolt the radiator shroud back to the primary radiators. Now we're just going to go back and we're going to tighten up our 4 8-metric bolts to attach the fan shroud back to the radiator. All right, now we're at our old buddy, the lower radiator hose. So I've got my clips in there already, so we're just going to pull it forward until you hear it click like that. It's easy for me to say that because I got a small hand, but for you guys that have got a struggle, again, you're better off just take that air box out and go from the top. Then we're going to do our overflow hose here. Put it on. Reclamp it. If I can remember how to use the tool. Okay, so that's got all of our hoses on the driver's side. You want to make sure that everything's free here. Nothing's bound up. Again, check those mounting points for the secondary radiator. Make sure that you've got your nuts or your little clamp nuts on there. We can come over to the driver's side now. Our driver's side, again, just checking everything, making sure that it's supposed to be where everything needs to be. We've got our upper radiator hose here. We'll just go ahead and slip that on, clip it in. This coolant hose here back in its spot. I'll put the clamp back on it later. We remembered to tighten our drain plug here. I've got all my mounting points. So at this point now, we are ready. Everything's free. And when I set my secondary radiator in here, I'll make sure that I've got that gasket seal pushed down. So at this point now, we are ready to set our secondary radiator in. All right, we're gonna go ahead and set our secondary radiator in now. I wanna show you real quick where the secondary radiator mounts on these. Mishimoto sends mounting hardware for this as well. This tab on the Mishimoto secondary radiator is going to engage this slot on the primary radiator. Same thing if you're using the stock primary or stock secondary, however you're viewing this video or however your installation is. But with us using both the Mishimoto on both the primary and secondary, this is what we're up against. So we're going to engage that tab into this slot here. This is a good time to have somebody help you install this, because you've got to clear the AC condenser and you don't want to make contact with it or you will damage it. So we're gonna go ahead and set our AC condenser in now. We've got our secondary radiator in. We've got it bolted down. We use the hardware that Mishimoto sends us in the kit. Right now is the time to go ahead and put the AC condenser in. So we're gonna go ahead and lift it, and the AC condenser, your two brackets, there's one on each side. They will engage the mounts that Mishimoto has in the secondary radiator. So just lift straight up. Okay. Perfect. Back to your stock mounting location. And when you're here, you want to make sure that the thermostat housings are protruding through the rubber gasket as well. Important step here, mounting the AC condenser to the Mishimoto secondary radiator. The mounting points are over top of the end caps, so Mishimoto sends two smaller bolts as compared to what the stock units are. Now you will still use the stock nut clips, that the Ford ones, but you will use the new bolts that Mishimoto will send you. They are shorter and they will not touch the end cap and cause you any problems on the radiator. So nice feature from Mishimoto there to make your installation just a little bit easier. All right, before we put this plastic cover back on, I like to put the hoses back on the radiator because it just gives me a little bit more access. So my overflow hose, I'm gonna go ahead and attach it real quick. Of course, because I had pliers, I grabbed those first, and that's not the tool that I needed. Sometimes using the right tool makes all the difference in the world. Then your hose going onto your passenger side thermostat housing. All right, now we'll go ahead and put our plastic guard up here. Reuse our stock push pins. Make sure that it clears the thermostat housing right there. And then our lower Now we can move over to the driver's side. Driver's side radiator hose that goes onto the thermostat housing. Excuse me. We'll put this hose back on. Then we will reattach this clamp for the driver's side. All right, we're going to put our upper radiator support bar in. First thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't have the electrical connection for the horn pinched anywhere where it's not going to be able to make it back through. To get back to the horn, which we'll have to reattach, especially if my wife is driving this truck. What you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to have the saddle for the primary radiator, the rubber bushing. You're going to want to have the saddle lined up with the rubber bushing, and then your locating pins on the upper radiator support almost in line with the hole. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push mine to where it engages and falls, and I'm going to go over and help Dylan get his. What do you need? Go away. Go ahead, that's it, right there. Hold on just a second. Then on this side, before you push it all the way down, you're gonna wanna make sure that the cable is out of the way. There, like that. And there's your upper radiator support bar in. At this point, you will move it for correct fitment. Make sure that the grommet for the primary radiator is lined up, and you will move that where it needs to be, and then go ahead and attach the 2 bolts that hold the upper radiator support arm, and also the 4 bolts that hold the half circle keeper for the primary radiator. We'll get everything bolted in now. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and swing our transmission cooler back on. So Dylan's going to put his side back on over there. On my side, we're going to go ahead and clip it over the top of the thermostat housing, and I'm going to bring in the radiator hose as well, and I'm just going to leave both of those loose like that. I don't know that you can see that. I just got everything kind of poked in there and loose. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and push everything down, push it till it clicks like so, and like so. All right, at that point we will tighten down the clamp that we loosened on the secondary radiator, and we will also reinstall our 2 bolts that holds our transmission cooler up, and the radiator hose going to the thermostat housing, reattach it and reclamp that. So what we did now is we got our hood cable back inside of the keeper here and hooked back up. The keeper on the crossbar, we got it laid in. Our horn wiring, we've got it runs underneath of the bar, and I've got it ready to hook up to my horn, which I'll do now. So our electrical connections are all square. Got that guard on. Now we're to this rubber flap here, and just go through and push all these push pins in. That goes on after the hood goes up. And our bottom one was missing on that. And that can actually tuck behind the transmission line. That transmission line's got a little push pin. Get it in there as well. This tucks behind, so we're in good shape now. So now we're ready for our crossbar that goes underneath. Adam can help me set it in. Go right there, and it will go actually behind that plastic cover, just like that. As you're going in, make sure that you are aware of this coolant line right here that re-engages back into the crossover piece. It will engage that datum. There you go. We'll rebolt it in. All right. We've got our bottom crossbar in, or our grill support is in. 3 bolts on each side of those. Don't forget the 2 top, and then there's a 10 metric that's behind the bumper that we usually get to. The hood switch, we didn't talk about that on the last one. Make sure that you reconnect your hood switch and everything is good to go there. If you unhook the hood light like I did, make sure that you hook your hood light back in, tighten all of your bolts up, and you're pretty good to go. What I like to do at this point is I like to fill both the primary and the secondary system with coolant and run the truck, get it up to operating temperature so the thermostats will open. I'm looking for leaks, and I'm also wanting to make sure that I'm going through the proper bleeding procedure, getting all of the air out of the system. What I like to do, and what the Ford manual calls for, is you'll go ahead and fill both systems to the full mark on the both the secondary system and the primary system. I will, on the secondary system, I will take the radiator cap and I will put it on and I will turn it until it closes the first click. On the primary cooling system, what I'll do is I will put the cap on it and I will tighten it until it ratchets. Once it ratchets, I will turn it back a half a turn so it can relieve gases, but it will still pressurize the system somewhat. And I will start the truck and I will run it. I will run it and watch the degas bottle, or both of the collection bottles, fill them as needed. And then at that point, I will turn the truck off, I will top them off, maybe add just a little bit more so that the coolant system will bring it all in. I will take it out and I will drive it. I do not put the grill on or the headlights in at this point in case I've got a leak. That's just one less thing that I've got to tear down. So that is installation of the Mishimoto primary and secondary radiator on a 6.7 Ford. Very efficient setup, very good setup. Overall, very impressed with all of the details that Mishimoto went to in the manufacturing of this product to make this as factory a fit and finish as you could possibly get. So if you have a question about this installation or any of our other videos, please give us a call, like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.